Welcome to everybody's favorite show, Know Your Tools. Today we talk about various hammers. First up is a small claw hammer which can fit in a housewife's kitchen drawer and is perfect for hanging a picture. Next up we have a rubber mallet, which is perfect for those jobs where you need force but you don't want to ding up a nice finish. Next up is your nice claw hammer, which can be used for carpentry work and just about any job you need to get done. For those bigger jobs, or when you want to act like you're Triple H in backyard wrestling,
Time to play the game!
There's the sledgehammer. And finally is the hammer you use when there's 3 neighboring countries that want to attack you, the Hebrew hammer. Welcome to the Millsurf Mike channel. A couple years ago I made a quick video on a rifle I was very excited to obtain, my Israeli Mauser, just because of the stories I wondered what that rifle could tell. Starting its life out as a Gewehr 98, cut down to a K98K, and I believe smuggled into Proto-Israel by the Haganah. World War I, II, the Israeli War for Independence, and possibly the Six-Day War. Although better trained than their neighbors, the Israeli Defense Force would be at a disadvantage going up against militaries armed with Rasheeds, SKSs, and AK-47s with the hodgepodge of Mausers and Enfields they had. The IDF adopted a domestically produced submachine gun, the Uzi, in 1955, but they needed a new battle rifle. NATO had adopted the 7.62x51 NATO cartridge in 1954, and the Dieudonné Save designed FAL was introduced as the right arm of the free world in 1953. Israel started buying FALs from FN in 1955 and adopted the new NATO cartridge, actually putting the cartridge to use before most in NATO. The FAL was quickly deployed in the 1956 Suez Crisis. The early rifles were completely built by FN, although much of the later rifles were domestically built. The story has always been that FN and IWI basically traded licensure, allowing FN to produce the Uzi and IMI to produce the FAL. All older rifles were converted to the NATO cartridge in 1958 for streamlining, hence my Israeli Mauser firing the 7.62. There are typically 2 different Israeli FALs, the light barrel infantry rifle and the heavy barrel model, which was intended for use as a squad automatic weapon. The latter really didn't work well as 1, it was limited by the 20-round magazine, 2, it had feeding issues in full auto, and 3, the lack of changeable barrel caused heating issues. The light barrel saw some success. Originally select fire, later rifles were semi-auto only. These rifles saw hard use in the 1967 Six-Day War, where Israel defeated Egypt, Jordan, and Syria in, would you guess it, 6 days. Israel showed the world what a motivated military trained to fight could do, going up against militaries that were mainly trained to look good in parades in their capitals. And of course, never mess with a bald guy with an eye patch. Israel gained the Sinai Peninsula, control of Jerusalem, and the Golan Heights. The war ended when the Soviet Union threatened to get involved, and the United States still wasn't happy about Israel bombing the USS Liberty. The FAL was the standard rifle during the War of Attrition and the Yom Kippur War, but there were many complaints about the rifle's performance with sand, especially compared to the AK-47, as well as its length and weight. Israel started replacing the FAL with the AK-based Galil rifle firing the 5.56 NATO round. The FAL did remain in production in Israel until 1986. Over the years, very few of the semi-auto only light barrel Israeli FALs made it to the United States, and heavy barrel kits were mated with US produced receivers, but these were hard to find and cost prohibitive to obtain also. In the summer of 2018, I saw one of these at a gun show going for over $2,000. Around SHOT Show this year, DSA announced they obtained some light barrel kits and were building them on their own receivers, selling them as the Hebrew Hammer. I knew I wanted one as soon as I heard this. There are 2 versions, the soldier grade, which is basically a replica of what was carried during the Six-Day War, and the officer grade, which has an FN muzzle device, black Duracoat finish, and an extra set of plastic furniture that you can use to save the wood furniture if you want to use it as a shooter. A local gun store, or at least local gun store to me, Harrison Shooter Supply in London, Kansas, obtained a soldier model, and I told him to hold it. I will find some way to get it. My soldier grade has the Israeli kit and furniture on a DSA lower with US-made barrel and pistol grip. The DSA markings are hid on the inside of the mag well with a recreation of the original Hebrew receiver text and IDF insignia on the outside of the receiver. Shooting this rifle is a blast. After a couple hundred rounds, I have not had one malfunction, and this thing throws the brass. The size of the rifle helps to absorb the recoil of a magazine dump, although I wonder how controllable it would be if the rifle were to select fire. Accuracy, I've only had an opportunity to shoot this at 50 yards, and it does shoot high. I needed to adjust the front sight down, but I didn't have needle nose pliers to help me out with that the both times I took this rifle out. I will say that if you have the opportunity and the means, get this rifle. It will increase in value over the next half decade or so. DSA has kits, but there aren't very many, and there is a 2 to 3 month lead time on making these. This is my third FAL, and it holds its own versus the other two. Please be aware of where your elected officials and the groups who claim to represent you stand on the Second Amendment. Please join the GOA in your state organizations and call your representatives and senators. Tell them no new gun control. If you like this content, please check out some of my other gun history videos, as they are pretty much all demonetized and throttled. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Also check out my Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and who I support on Patreon. Thank you for watching, and as always, have a great day.